valleys by the Sheep River were well-known areas that helped to sustain the Blackfoot way of life. They sheltered near the river during the winter months and hunted bighorn sheep near the headwaters. The Blackfoot ate bighorn sheep meat for sustenance and stripped the horns to strengthen their bows. They also knew of a place along the Sheep River where there were pools of strange water, pools their horses would not drink from. These pools of water were laced with petroleum seeping through the earth from reservoirs deep under the surface. In the early 1900s, these reservoirs would become a valuable natural resource to access and commercialize, a resource that would change Alberta for generations to come. The beginning of Alberta's petrochemical industry can be traced back to Turner Valley in the rolling foothills and coulees south of Calgary. Oil and gas are created over millions of years of geological processes. Through heat and pressure, organic material is transformed into hydrocarbons, including oil and natural gas. You could say that the resources found deep below Turner Valley were just waiting to be discovered and sold. Turner Valley's natural gas potential depended on accurate scientific mapping of the region's resources. Through extensive mapping, studies, and surveys, the Geological Survey of Canada found that the Turner Valley region held promise for natural resource exploration. With the prospect of finding these natural resources, an era of new economic prosperity would soon be realized. It was an Ontario-born rancher, farmer, and cartage company owner who, with his partners, would help lead the way to that very important discovery. William Stewart Heron was born in Ontario and gained oilfield experience visiting Pennsylvania at the turn of the century before moving to Alberta. In 1911, Heron collected a sample of the gas seeping from the banks of the Sheep River and had it tested by labs at 2 American universities, verifying the presence of natural gas. Heron acquired land around the seep, but lacking the finances to begin drilling, he entered into a partnership with A.W. or Archie Dingman of the Calgary Natural Gas Company. Dingman had connections with many wealthy businessmen in Calgary and surrounding areas. He persuaded a group of them to invest in a new company, Calgary Petroleum Products, which began drilling what came to be known as the Dingman No. 1 well on the Sheep River in January 1913. On May 14, 1914, after more than a year of drilling, Dingman No. 1 finally struck. It brought a supply of wet gas to the surface and ushered in a period of uncontrolled speculation and the potential for future prosperity. So, in nearby Calgary, hundreds of oil and drilling companies sprang up as people rushed to capitalize on the find. Now, most companies failed quickly without ever sinking a well, taking the savings of thousands of investors with them. However, some drilling did occur, and communities of oil workers began to grow in Turner Valley. The wet gas processing plant built by Calgary Petroleum Products in Turner Valley included a small compressor and absorption plant. The absorption plant burned to the ground in 1920, and lacking funds to rebuild, the company agreed to a takeover by Imperial Oil and renamed the company Royalite Oil. Now, Royalite immediately began improving and expanding the plant. Within a year, they had added new absorption and compression capacity and, critically, a pipeline to markets outside the valley. Royalite also began to drill new wells with some success, notably Royalite No. 4, which produced vast quantities of natural gas laden with poisonous and corrosive hydrogen sulfide. Now, this sour gas was made usable when Royalite installed a new scrubbing plant, which sweetened the gas by removing the hydrogen sulfide. The growth and development of Alberta's petrochemical industry was on the rise. That is, until the 1930s. The Great Depression brought many challenges for the industry. Investment faltered, drilling slowed dramatically, and unemployment brought hardship to many families in the region's communities. The villages of Black Diamond and Turner Valley went bankrupt and had to seek financial help from the also troubled provincial government. In 1936, the economic situation began to improve with new discoveries in the Turner Valley oil field. A major oil strike at the Turner Valley Royalties No. 1 well led to renewed interest in the region's potential. More wells were drilled and more communities began to develop, including Longview and Royalties, which were better known then as Little New York and Little Chicago. Now, in 1930, a transfer agreement between the federal government and the province gave control over natural resources to the government of Alberta. This gave the province the authority to provide much-needed oversight to the industry. After years of failed attempts, in 1938, Alberta finally succeeded in getting enough industry support to allow the government to regulate the wasteful flaring or burning off of natural gas. The Second World War brought increased demand for petroleum products. With help from the federal government, the plant was expanded to increase the volume and quality of natural gas production. Horton spheres were constructed to store isobutane, a component of high-octane aviation fuel which was in very high demand during the war. The post-war period saw the Turner Valley plant diversify to produce propane and sulfur. Despite this, the plant was overshadowed as larger and more modern gas processing plants were built elsewhere. Also, the discovery of oil in Leduc in 1947 and Redwater in 1948 turned the attention of the industry to other regions of the province. Decades of wasteful flaring in the Turner Valley area had lowered the pressure throughout the oil and gas field, making it difficult to bring oil to the surface. Now, the plant changed hands several times over the decades, and in 1985, the facility finally closed its doors. The Turner Valley gas plant was designated a Provincial Historic Resource in 1989 and a National Historic Site of Canada in 1995. Now, the Alberta government helped conduct environmental remediation and restoration of structures and equipment on the site. In 1930, Archie Dingman said he was confident that a great future awaits the oil industry in Alberta, and that Turner Valley is just one of the many structures in which large quantities of oil would be found. Ultimately, he was right. Long before the time of Heron, Dingman, and Calgary petroleum products, the land around the Sheep River was an important wintering area and hunting ground. When the Dingman No. 1 well struck wet gas in 1914, the region would gain further importance. It ushered in a new era of energy resource extraction and development that would forever change Alberta. The Turner Valley Gas Plant, an important part of Alberta's energy resources heritage.